What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We made it again. We're back at it. Welcome to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. I'm your host, Michael Lombard. Back at it again. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend wherever you're tuning in from. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're cruising strong. We're deep in October, first full week of October. Before we get rolling to the Clubhouse, I do want to let you know 34 minutes ago, Taillights has dropped in your inbox. Possibly check your spam folder. You never know with newsletters how they come through. Definitely don't want to miss this issue of Taillights, covering some really hot topics with so much that's going on. We're kind of following up off of last week's newsletter with some of the new regulations regarding non-domiciled CDLs. The CEO of FreightWaves, Craig Fuller, he's gone on to say that trucking bankruptcies are in the imminent future going into 2026. And we also cover what does, because the government's shut down now, if you didn't know. I didn't really know either, but what is we kind of go into what a government shutdown means for the trucking and for trucking and the DOT and kind of how that works. We break down a little bit of fun facts there with kind of who's working and who's not during the shutdown. But a little spoiler alert, the scale houses are still open. And DOT inspections are definitely not going to be dialed back in any sort of way. So the shutdown doesn't bring it down from there. And as always, we've got a survey in there. We'd love some trucker member feedback with a promo code that you'll receive. We've got partner codes in there. We got a great health tip of the week as we get into some colder weather. You want to keep your hydration on point, especially if you're doing a winter tarping. You can fatigue faster. Don't let the cooler weather think you can duck out on some good hydration while you're out there over the road. But other than that, let's dive into this week's edition of the Clubhouse. I got our freaking guy coming at us live in route too. My man, Trucker DC. What's going on, brother?
I'm good. How you doing, Mike?
Dude, I cannot complain. It's Monday. Monday's easily slid into one of my favorite days of the week, and Monday became probably my favorite day of the week from when I started driving. But can't complain. Where are we tuning in from? Where are you at?
Yeah, so right now I'm in California. If you guys saw my last TikTok, just left Compton, and my name's Demaria Clopton. I go by Trucker DC to those of you who don't know me. So my wife is driving right now, and I'm tuning in with you guys right here. But yeah, we're in California.
Awesome. Are you so I-40, I presume?
We're going up north. We got a couple pickups before we take it back to Missouri, which we will be taking. Yeah, I-40, but we're on I-5 now, so a little bit of traffic, but doing all right. Kind of flowing good.
Oh yeah, you're West Coast time, so it is 5:30 there.
Yep.
Nice work. Let's get into it. So, I mean, you're driving through California now. Let's kind of would love to hear how we got here. What got you into trucking?
Okay, well, I first start out with trucking. I guess wasn't my initial choice. My dad, he's been a trucker and worked in the oil field and all my life. So he's been trying to have me get my CDL since I was like 18, whenever I could. But starting young, I was actually a chef. So when I graduated high school, I went to culinary school, ended up getting my bachelor's in culinary arts. And I was working in hotels, the Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton, really nice fine dining. And then COVID hit, and I looked at it as, well, I had nothing but time because they laid everyone off because all the restaurants closed. So I got my CDL, went to CDL school during COVID. And ever since then, yeah, it's just kind of been driving, and it's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear that, and I talk about this every Clubhouse. So kind of that thought process. So your dad was encouraging you to get your CDL. I mean, it's number one. Really sorry you kind of had to navigate that issue during COVID. I think it's when I look back at the year of 2020, it almost seems like this like fever dream that it's like the year, like it was almost this like stopgap in memory where I like don't even like remember anything that happened in the year of 2020. I don't know if it's just my mind blocking it out from all the negativity, but there are so many people who did lose their jobs and venture themselves into trucking, but once again, total career shift going from chef to then driving a truck. Was that like the first thought that came to mind? So like when they laid you off, was the first thing that came to mind of like, okay, it's time to get a CDL? Or did you think about anything else? Like, was there any other ideas you had? Like, what was the defining moment where you're just like, I'm just going to go to CDL school?
Yeah, well, I had prior to getting laid off, I had saved up some money, so I had thought about trucking just because during it all, my dad obviously wasn't laid off; he was a trucker, so that was kind of the first thing that I thought about. Um, I don't know. Growing up, I was always an athlete and stuff, so sitting home, I just wasn't like I was driving myself crazy. So I figure I got the time, I might as well do something, even if I get my CDL and don't end up using it after this whole COVID blows by. Then I'll just have it. But yeah, it was that or kind of looking on social media like a lot of people trying to basically just trying to make a way out of no way. Um, it was really that up until they started opening restaurants up again, and by then I had got my CDL and I was driving with the first company I was driving for, and I had actually fallen in love with it. It was a big change, as you mentioned, a whole career shift from working in the same place, the kitchen every day, to now getting paid basically to travel is how I looked at it. And I was young, maybe 21, so at the time yeah, it was blast, and I'm still loving it.
No, that's awesome. So did you you said you had saved up your money, so you paid your way into CDL school?
Correct. Yeah, it was like $5,000 in Colorado, so I did that way. Because I had done my research and having my dad as a trucker, he warned me about if you sign on with or if you apply and go to school at say Swift or Prime or CR England, they're gonna make you sign a working like contract to work for them for a certain period of time after you graduate. And I wasn't really comfortable with that, especially just starting because I didn't know what company I wanted to work for. So I just decided to pay my way like 5 grand and get my CDL, and then I could do research on who I wanted to work for after without having to be tied down by basically getting free schooling.
Oh, nice. So who was the first company you drove for?
Yeah, so it was actually funny. Out of CDL school, there was a guy I was talking to, our head director, and he had worked for a company uh, in Denver, FedEx Ground. But with FedEx Ground, I'm sure as your viewers know, and as you know, a lot of the companies are third party contractors. And I told him I eventually wanted to do doubles and triples. Funny enough, before teaching at the CDL school, he had worked for a contractor at FedEx who uh, that's basically what they did. So he got me in touch with him, and right away when I went and met the guy, he hired me on the spot. Did a little test drive and the paperwork, drug test, all that stuff, and yeah, got hired. So right out of CDL school, was doing doubles and triples, and for FedEx Ground, it was fun.
So FedEx Ground, that's good. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Good. I
Yep,
mean, good guy. Yeah, you weren't beridden to a company for a certain amount of years, but and this is, I'm imagining this is 2020.
yep.
So this is 2020, but currently, I mean, you're driving with your wife right now. Kind of. So explain the last 5 years. You start working for FedEx Ground. When did your wife enter the picture?
Yeah. So at the time, she was actually we had just started dating, and she was doing real estate. Um, she had just started that. She got a real estate license in COVID as well. And with me being gone all the time, she was kind of, I wouldn't say mad or, but like as truckers know, your family misses you when you're on the road. And then she also saw the money I was making because it was pretty good compared to like culinary or whatever we were doing before. And I talked to my boss, and he paid for her to go to school. So we started teaming after she had got her CDL, and then we actually both started teaming with FedEx together for that same owner. So we started, yeah, that, and then we moved to Arizona, and for a little bit, we liked our boss, especially since he paid for her to go to school. So we worked for him a little bit while we were living in Arizona. He would actually pay to fly us back from Arizona to Denver, stay out on the road for like 3 weeks, and then when it was time for our home time, he would fly us back to Arizona for our home time. Um, but after that, we kind of decided, we kind of had a good idea of what we wanted to do, and um, that being eventually owner operators, or furthermore, like just owning trucks and hiring drivers, being an owner like he was. Um, and then that brought us to Prime. So with Prime, now we're lease operators. And if you guys haven't seen or have seen on my social media, I've started to kind of photograph and video that part of where we're at now. And we travel all 48 states, and we even go to Canada. So there's some videos on that as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing your Canada video, which and this is just a quick question because I'm always intrigued. I think number one, I think it's really important that drivers make content, mainly because
Yep.
on the advocacy side. And I go like, I went to the Texas State Capitol back in the spring, and so when I have the opportunity to talk to, because number one, I mean when Yes, I love watching drivers' content and learning. It's also, I mean, it's part of why I started making a podcast. It's why we're doing the Clubhouse is because testimony and people's life experience is what you can use in advocacy or
Right.
for general information. So I always ask, what kind of spurred your motivation to make some content and document what you guys are doing?
Really, it was just, well, we've been married for a little over a year and a half now. So really, it's just I want to be able to show my kids one day like what your mother and I did to get us to where we are when we have kids. So I really look at it as like a video log or history book. We'll just be able to show our kids like this is what we were doing, when we were in our 20s. Because you could talk about it, and I obviously tell my dad because he's a driver, and we talk about it, and he understands. But if you're a driver and you try to have some of the conversations with just other family members or friends or family that aren't too familiar with how trucking operates or transportation and logistics in a whole, they don't really get it uh, as as far as someone who's in that industry does. So that's the main reason I started, just so our kids one day could see what we were willing to sacrifice to give them the life that they'll have in the future.
That's well said. I couldn't agree more. I say it all the time. I mean, how much money would you pay for your great grandfather's podcast or YouTube channel?
Yep.
And I think about it again, and I'm very blessed in some ways, which I can show some of the live viewers. Like the newsletter that dropped is called Taillights because it's named after Lombard Trucking's old newsletter, Taillights. And I'm fortunate to have copies of just these newsletters. There wasn't really, there were no podcasts back then, but
Right.
you're in the beginning stages of trying to start a business yourself, and it's like if I could listen to the podcasts of my great grandfather and how him and his brother went from horse and carriages to trucks in the 1920s. I think that's a story. I mean, that's a story worth its weight in gold. And it's like we have the opportunity now in 2025 to do that for the grandkids, the great grandkids. So if to anybody watching, take Trucker DC's advice. And it's like you could think, oh, I'm not important, I'm not special. Just a little bit of motivation. You are, especially if you're a driver in this industry. If you're a truck driver, every driver is a valuable human being who's doing doing some of the most patriotic work you could be doing, and your life is worth documenting. If not for, it doesn't need to be for 60,000 people. It needs to be for the one person. It needs to be for that grandkid. So that's awesome, man. Keep
Yep.
pumping out the content. It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And speaking of content, I do get pose me to my next question. When was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
I actually heard about it from you. I had posted a couple TikToks, and you messaged me, and I don't really like talk to brands or anything like that because I think half the time they're a scam. Obviously, a lot of those messages you get from TikTok and Instagram is bots or a scam or whatever. Um, but I could tell it was a person, and I asked my wife because she's better at filling stuff out than I am. I'm like, does this sound right to you or whatever? And yeah, then we started talking. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Checked out the app. realized it was a real app and real locations. And then, as I told you before I even got my driver code or wanted to work with you guys at all, that I need to try it out and see if this is something I'm willing to back, because I'm not just going to back anything, And the thing that I really liked about it is it was Truck Parking Club solving an issue that's actually out there for drivers. Like a lot of people don't know, there's one parking space for every 11 trucks on the road. So by utilizing that private property, that's already there, yeah, you have to pay some money, but Truck Parking Club has free and paid locations, which a lot of people also don't know. But it's utilizing land that's already there and solving a problem that needs to be solved.
No, absolutely, man. That's awesome. A great point to let that out there, which I don't think is told enough, is yes, on the app, one of the app's features is to provide on there, you have the option to look at where the free parking is in the area.
Yep.
And I know that we also have live stats from, I believe, 7 states that will show rest areas that have
Yep.
open places. But yeah, you recently were in a spot, and you recently were just in a spot in California.
Last night.
How did that happen?
So we did our delivery yesterday in Compton, and I got done early with the delivery. I looked on that truck. I actually looked on Trucker Path, and the closest truck stop was like a Petro, an hour and 15 minutes away. And I was like, well, let me look at Truck Parking Club, because I had time on my clock, but I'm like, I don't really want to drive that far just to park and wait for another load. So I open up Truck Parking Club, and 3 minutes away, and there's reservation ability. You could see it. Tells you how many spots are open at that location. So then I booked it, and I went in, had a gated lot, had gas station snacks by me, and stayed there for the night. So it was nice.
No, it's perfect how it comes in clutch. And I mean, to your point,
Yep.
I believe the Petro you're talking about is probably the one in Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like getting to the, and I know this, and I have no shame in admitting this, but I used to run a load that would go from Fort Smith to Ontario, and then I'd grab something out of Carson and take it from Carson back to either Oklahoma, normally either Dallas Fort Worth or somewhere in Oklahoma area, depending on what it is. A lot of it was parts from that were going out to like oil fields. Either way,
Yep.
I would. Because of that, I mean, coming out of Carson and then getting all the way back to the TA or the Petro in Ontario, depending on what time of day. I mean, really, no matter what time of day it is,
because you're in LA, it's gonna take a while.
I mean, it's out of hand, and I would PC while loaded back to that TA and Petro. And I knew another guy who would use his clock to get back to the about Ontario area, and then he would continue to PC further to about all the way back to Barstow. And it's just because of what it was, and he would, and obviously it's 100%. He's advancing the load. Like there's no, like, I knew that there was no gray area. There's no real wiggle room of putting safe haven for it. But it's just like
you don't want to spend that time just trying to get out of the traffic and get to a place where you could,
No, for sure, and it's like, and again, I don't think the ELD is necessarily what needs to go away, where it's the hours of service need to kind of be relooked at. And I know that there's a pilot going on with kind of restructuring the hours of service, but that's the thing.
Right.
Like, but when it comes to, so in general, say you are a fleet owner, like, so just to take your scenario, kind of zooming it out 3,000 feet, say you're a fleet owner, you got 5 trucks, a driver is in your position where they're in Carson, and it's an hour and a half to get back to the Petro in the opposite direction, because you're headed north now. So he's got to use that fuel that's going to take him however long to get to the TA Petro to get there, just to park, safely. So he's used the fuel. He's eliminated an hour and a half off of his clock just for that parking.
And then got to pay for parking when you get there.
And that's another thing. The TA Petro is also not free. So it's like, business owner, you've spent the money in fuel just to go out of your way to park. You've eliminated an hour off of a driver's clock, so their pay. So yeah, they might be getting paid by the mile either way, but you're kind of losing money on the current load you're on because of the fuel. Whereas you had the location 3 miles away, your driver can park there and scoot
Yep.
up. So I'm glad it was able to work out for you. And then I mean, even I believe one of your other videos, I mean, you saw a recent accident or something was going on at one of the truck stops you were at.
Yeah, it was wild. That was down in Florida, and it's funny because I had just made a video staying at a truck parking club location the night before, um, basically explaining how truck stops are unpredictable, they're unsafe, um, because there's so many people there, they drive fast in them. And then the very next day, we drove up to a Love's, and we were driving in the Love's and saw Swift park on the end cap, and there was a truck basically cross right across his hood. Police was there and everything, and the Swift driver was just chilling in the parking spot, you know. But those are things you got to worry about when it's public parking. If if you're a driver, you know people drive crazy through parking lots, which is also unsafe. So, yeah, it's just I guess it just depends on the kind of person. Me personally, if I could prevent a silly accident or a mistake like that, just by something as small as picking a correct spot to park, then I'll do that. I know some people don't care, but yeah, it was wild. I'm like, see, guys, that's why you should at least check them out. That might not have happened. I'm not gonna say it will for or won't for legal reasons, but it might not have. You know?
Yeah, yeah, can't always put. It's why the the distant Lysol can't put 100 kills 100% of bacteria.
Right.
They put
Exactly.
99.9. Yeah, you can't deal in absolutes. But
Yep.
no, that's good, man. And again, like the outreach. So I mean, TikTok, the social media, we like to put ourselves out there to drivers to just let them know that the option's there. Again, like
Yep.
it's a choice at the end of the day of where you want to park, but we're as kind of present on social media for information, because I think in the same way in the content game, I think a driver's number one most valuable tool is information. The more
Yep.
information, the more feedback you can get from other drivers and their experience, the better equipped anybody is to make a decision on where they want to park, where they want to drive, what lanes they want to run. So it's definitely why we're out there. It's definitely why we reach out to individuals such as yourself. But
Absolutely.
leads me to my last question for you. And again, it could be anything. It's a there's no right or wrong answer. But besides parking, which we always take the most seriously here, the industry's got a lot of issues. I'm
Hmm.
curious to hear what Trucker DC believes, what you believe is the number one issue facing the industry right now. Like if you can wave a magic wand and say, I want to solve this right now, or just what do you think is a glaring issue that's kind of going on in the industry?
Okay. Well, me personally, I don't think it's that straightforward. But if I were to say one thing, I think ever since after COVID, just nobody wants to work. Like I said, I grew up playing sports and I was always hardworking. Um, and it feels like a lot of people are like too privileged to work a good hardworking job, um, to where you have to show up every day. Like I get trucking is hard, but I've been blessed enough to be able to travel overseas and see some not so fortunate areas. And at the end of the day, we're in the most beautiful country in the world, the U.S. Little problems are exactly that. What some people perceive as big extreme problems, like we're talking about parking, just to get some food or running water. At the end of the day, they're little problems, and I feel like with the boomers starting to retire, we need just more men and more adults to step up and work. Because if they don't, then AI and robots and the self-driving trucks are going to take everyone's job, and then we're all going to be, we're all not going to have a good time. So I just feel like more people need to stop complaining. No one made you get your CDL. No one made you really work. And if you don't want to drive, don't drive. Go work at Burger King or whatever else you want to do. That's what I think. I think we people just start Yep, and that's it.
So yeah, can kind of boil that down to one answer is yes, the American population should step up to the plate because you're right. I mean, I'd say that because we covered in the newsletter. We're always talking
Yeah,
automation.
real quick.
We're always talking robot
Oh, there we
trucks.
go.
Oh, did I lose you for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always talking robot
Yeah,
trucks.
I'm back now. We're good.
We're always talking automation. So, and this is actually why, and I've talked about it in a lot of my old TikTok videos of why I always advocate for living a healthier lifestyle because when you kind of live a healthier lifestyle, you gain the confidence to you gain more confidence in yourself, but you also gain more confidence to start to stand up for yourself and advocate on behalf of the industry in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
Because when you choose to do hard things, like and this is in regards
Yep.
to fitness, when you challenge yourself, when you kind of get growth happens when you're uncomfortable. That's
Yep.
where growing.
Get
There's that
comfortable with being uncomfortable.
you have to do it. There's that old saying, and I believe it's from the Bible. How iron sharpens iron, and the idea of
Yep.
iron sharpening iron is a very brutal process. Like the process of making a sword is actually very difficult. You have to smash it. It's put under the hottest flames in the fire. It requires
Yep.
smashing all the time and cutting through it. It's not like sewing or something like that. It's not
Yeah.
a methodic. Like you've got to really beat that metal down to make a sword. And it's the same thing kind of with our mentality and our mindset with some of the issues. Like, do drivers need better access to restrooms? Sure, but it shouldn't cause what's it called? It like there's definitely problems that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like if you take the moment and step back and look at the bigger picture, okay, we have like these are enemies we definitely need to solve, and that's the long game. The long
Right.
game, you want to fix those issues, but in the short term, let's keep showing up, let's keep doing the work, and keep
Yep.
getting after it. So that's your take is we just people just need to step up to the plate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's a pretty good answer. So we got a couple minutes before I let you guys go on your last drive. So
Yep.
let's talk future trucker DC. You and your wife are driving team now, which I think is remarkable. It's impressive. I know a couple married couples who drive team. You've got some higher hopes, higher plans. You've been at the game for 5 years. What's the next
Yep.
5 years looking like for you?
I think we'll definitely get some trucks and start a family. As I mentioned, oh, sorry, this thing. As I mentioned, we got married a year and a half ago, so I think getting some more trucks, expanding, and just giving the knowledge, what I learned throughout the career, and yeah, honestly, that brings me back to this one point. You asked me how to or why'd I get into trucking. Um, or I guess this isn't why I got into trucking, but I knew trucking was good because obviously it makes America and the world go around. With it being a $1 trillion industry. When I first got hired at FedEx, the owner when he was doing the interview with me, he has like something like 34 trucks, 35 trucks, and he told me straight up, he's like, I spend $19,000 a month on fuel, and as some people would be like, man, that's crazy. That's amazing. My mind went to, okay, well, if he's spending $19,000 a month on fuel, he must be making a killing. Like, that's just automatically what I think. I'm like, if he's over here, so I don't know. Yeah, I want to get some trucks, um, add value to people, and keep making content and show our kids this is what we did to get to where we are in the future. So I guess in the short answer, that's my 5 year plan.
No, that's good stuff. So I mean, if you were to recommend somebody, because you're with Prime now, your lease operators, it's you and your wife.
Yep.
If you could, and I know I said it was my last question, but this is normally how I like to leave it. So if you could talk to a driver right now, brand new driver, either somebody at CDL school, somebody thinking about getting their CDL,
Yep.
what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
The piece of advice I would give them is don't rush. Take your time, and whatever God has planned for you will come into fruition. Just be patient.
Don't rush. Be patient. I mean, that can't sum it up better than that. But
Yep.
dude, I want number one, won't be the last time you come on the Clubhouse. Definitely love to get you on. We're definitely looking to expand what we do at the Clubhouse. We'd love to get more roundtables,
Yep.
engagement from the partners. Know what you guys are kind of up to. Hear your stories. Hear what you've got going on. Because as you said, I think the more content you can be involved in, the more content drivers can be involved in, the better. Especially
Yep.
for when we're advocating for more truck parking, when we're talking to fleets, when we're talking to other drivers. I think it's really important. So definitely want to thank you for your time tonight. I mean, I think, as I said, before you hopped in the call, I think the most undervalued thing that's taken for granted, like if it's one thing I think is one of the biggest issues in the industry, is I do believe that drivers' times are highly disrespected.
Yeah.
I think it's, people view it as, drivers are at this low end of the totem pole when really nothing works without them,
Right.
no matter what. And so it's like, when it comes to your time, I respect it. So truly thank you for coming on. And for you guys listening, once again, if you look at the bottom of the screen, or if you're listening while you're driving, either way, if you need parking tonight, this week, you can use the promo code TruckerDC, all lowercase, for $20 off your next booking. We work with gentlemen such as Trucker DC, because if you couldn't tell by the last 32 minutes of listening to him, this is an individual, and this is a person, this is a business owner, this is a husband who wants to leave this industry better than he found it. That's what our mission here is to do at Truck Parking Club. We want to leave the industry better than we found it. And at Truck Parking Club, that's what we do. We help truckers save time, fuel, and money by instantly reserving truck parking across the entire United States. And if you need truck parking, you can go to truckparkingclub.com. If you need anything at all, you can reach out to myself. My email is lombard@truckparkingclub.com. We're here for you. Guys like Trucker DC are here for you. But with that, guys, we'll be back next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, for the next Clubhouse. But other than that,